Have you heard? 38 communities encompassing St. Thomas, Kingston, and St. Andrew are being monitored by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. This is due to a spike in COVID-19 cases which are under investigation and some of which cannot be traced to either a confirmed local or imported case. So what should we do? Increase our vigilance, of course, practice the COVID-19 protocols all the time. Not sometimes or when we remember, but at all times. It's the only way we can ensure that Jamaica contains and, over time, expels the COVID-19 virus from our shores. Your Jamaica Magazine program continues with a word of advice, followed by the news.
Good day, I am Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Monday, August 24. The Ministry of Health and Wellness is assuring Jamaicans that there is no shortage of COVID-19 beds in the public health sector, even as cases continue to increase. On August 23, the country recorded its highest number of confirmed coronavirus cases for a day, with 116 persons testing positive. It pushes the total number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Jamaica to 1,529. With health officials now monitoring 622 active cases, related hospitalizations have also increased. But the Portfolio Minister, Dr. Christopher Tufton, says that of the 315 COVID-19 beds available, 73 are currently occupied.
Now, it does show an increase in the number of beds being occupied, but it's certainly a far way from any assumption or perception that the COVID wards or COVID beds, which essentially are isolation areas, have been exhausted. We still have sufficient capacity to deal with additional cases that require hospitalization.
Dr. Tufton made the statement during his ministry's COVID-19 digital press briefing Sunday night. Meanwhile, Director of Services at the National Public Health Lab, Dr. Michelle Hamilton, says the backlog of COVID-19 test samples has been cleared.
The reagents for the COBA 6800 that we spoke about, the last press briefing, did arrive in Jamaica on schedule, and so we have been able to clear the COVID-19 backlog of samples.
Dr. Hamilton made the announcement during a virtual press briefing last Thursday. She said the reagents received were enough to clear the backlog, as well as to deal with routine surveillance and all the other new investigations that will be required.
In short, we have surge capacity in the system, and we will be able to ramp up the testing as required.
In other COVID-19 related news, government is closer to engaging additional healthcare workers to boost its response to the pandemic. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says this relates to the 120 medical officers who recently graduated and had no post.
I'm happy to announce that that process has moved along now to the extent that we are in a position to engage these persons over the next week, I'm told, by the team here, and that will mean more staff who will be deployed across the country, and that would strengthen the response to dealing with the challenges of COVID and other challenges that we face.
Dr. Tufton gave that update after reporting that there were 17 confirmed cases of COVID-19 among healthcare workers across the country. 8 are at the Kingston Public Hospital, while the remaining 9 cases have been recorded in other hospitals. The minister acknowledged that the rise in cases was impacting hospitals and putting more health workers at risk. But he said there was a plan in place to deal with these situations, and that has been activated.
We expect that these things will happen from time to time. So it is not that we are searching for solutions. We are working through the solutions based on a process that is decided on prior to these eventualities occurring.
Ahead of Sunday night's newest COVID-19 numbers, Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced tighter curfew hours for Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine and Clarendon. As was previously announced for St. Thomas, these parishes now have a daily curfew of 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. until September 2. The curfew for all other parishes remains 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. daily.
The virus is spread by people who are infected, gathering, greeting, embracing, coming into close contact, but also sharing transportation space and moving about. If we limit movement, we have a greater chance of limiting spread. And the curfew does help to limit movement, particularly at night.
The Prime Minister was addressing a virtual press conference on Friday. He also announced that measures earlier instituted for St. Thomas now apply to Kingston, St. Andrew, Clarendon and St. Catherine, namely, no funeral, convention or other civic services at churches. Regular worship is still allowed and burials will continue with strict enforcement of the 15-person rule. As the country moves closer to the September 3 national election, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced that political motorcades have been prohibited in a bid to contain the spread of the novel coronavirus.
This is to say that motorcades with more than 2 buses, which we call coaster buses, motorcades that are stopping and greeting, motorcades that are carrying persons by bus, that will be prohibited.
To enable political parties and their candidates to continue campaign activities in communities, the Prime Minister said community drive-thrus would be permitted.
We will allow drive-thrus, meaning that the political party should present a route to the police commander in charge of the respective areas they intend to tour, and they can drive through but not stop and greet. So it would be merely a driving through, displaying their signs, banners, paraphernalia, but there will be no stopping and greeting, so there should be no gathering at any point.
He warned that the police would be monitoring the new restrictions, and if breaches were found, all such campaign activities could be banned. And finally, the judiciary of Jamaica says night courts in St. Catherine, Clarendon, Kingston, St. Andrew and St. Thomas have been suspended because of the new curfew measures imposed in these parishes. Persons who had matters scheduled for night courts in those parishes are being asked to contact the respective courts for additional information. The judiciary is also encouraging staff and members of the public to adhere to the COVID-19 protocols outlined by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. The parish court contributes significantly to the administration of justice in Jamaica in the adjudication of many civil and criminal matters daily. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Hurricanes can strike at any time. In the event of one, be prepared to act quickly. If a hurricane watch or warning has been issued, review your home disaster response plan. Map out likely routes to evacuate if your home is at risk and confirm with relatives or friends you plan to stay with. Also, confirm the location of the nearest shelter. Check your emergency supplies and restock if necessary. Remember, disasters do happen, so be prepared.
COVID-19 still a keep. That's right. The island continues to record cases and we want to help you follow the protocols. One way is by using hand sanitizer containing 62% alcohol content. Find out how you can make your own in the comfort of your home.
Hi there. Thanks for joining us. I know, like myself, some of you are working from home. As you can see, I've turned my dinner table into a makeshift office, and I always have my trusty hand sanitizer with me. It's finished, so we're going to make homemade hand sanitizer. We have a 4-ingredient hand sanitizer. The most important ingredient is alcohol, and it has to be 62% volume or above, and aloe vera. And we have vitamin E oil and an essential oil, just to make it smell nice. So follow me into the kitchen. First things first is to turn our aloe vera leaf into aloe vera gel. It's not going to have the same consistency as the aloe vera gel that you'd buy in the store, but I trust this over store-bought because you don't know what they put in it. So first things first, wash it, and then we put it in our blender to smoothen it out. What we're aiming for is a 1/3 cup of aloe vera gel / juice and 2/3 cup of alcohol. We're doing it 2 to 1 because the most important ingredient is the alcohol. Now that we've blended our aloe vera, we're going to put a 1/3 cup of the aloe. Wow, my measurement is on point, man. Whoa, just right. But as I said, the main and most important ingredient is this right here, the alcohol. We're going to use 2/3 cup of alcohol to a 1/3 cup of the aloe vera. I have here my measuring cup, and I'm going to pour 2/3 of the rubbing alcohol into the cup. And I'm going to add a 1/3 of the aloe vera gel. For some persons, this will do, but for me, I want to add some vitamin E oil, so as to give a little more softness for the hands. So I'm going to put 2 to 3 drops of it because it's thick. As I said, this is optional, or you could use glycerin if you have it at home. Then the next one is the essential oil. I chose tangerine because I like that smell. And I'm going to add maybe 6 to 8 drops. And it's purely for cosmetic purposes. It doesn't add anything. As long as you have the rubbing alcohol, you should be good. Then I will just mix them together. In a clean container, after you mix the ingredients together, you pour Now that we've made our homemade hand sanitizer, the only thing left to do is to try it out. Very moisturizing. Wow. It's very strong too. Smells a lot like the alcohol with a tinge of the tangerine. So you can try it out right there in the comfort of your home.
Practice good hygiene by washing your hands frequently using soap and water. Here's how you should do it while conserving water. Turn on the tap to wet your hands, then turn off the pipe. Lather your hands and the tap with soap. Turn on the tap and wash your hands, back, front, and in between fingers. Use some of the water to wash off the tap, then turn it off. Dry your hands with disposable hand towels. If you don't have running water, use a hand rub containing 62% or more alcohol. If hand sanitizers are not available, rubbing alcohol, Dettol, white rum, or household bleach will do the trick. And if all else fails, let hand washing and the handling of potable water be a two-person event. Each person will take turns pouring and washing hands with sitting water. Now is a good time to consider installing a tap on your containers to reduce the risk of water contamination. Faucets can be easily attached to drums, buckets, or 5-gallon water bottles. And to ensure that the outside of the containers are clean when recapping, disinfect it with hand rub containing alcohol that's 62% or more. The 5 R's of water conservation are also necessary to practice. Reduce water wastage by investing in water-saving devices. Reuse water at least twice before discarding. Replace leaking pipes, faucets, and other plumbing equipment. Recycle wastewater and use it for gardening, car washing, or cleaning of public spaces. And reclaim water through rainwater harvesting. We all must play our part to ensure there's water to combat the coronavirus and stave off prolonged drought.
Jamaicans will vote in general elections on September 3. Find out how you can cast your vote.
Who are you voting for this election? Well, that's your secret. But knowing how to make sure your vote counts on election day is no private matter. But first you must know where to cast your vote and how to do it. Voting? Easy. But you must follow the correct steps to ensure a smooth electoral process and a valid vote. So guess what? Stay with us as we take you through the voting process.
Before Election Day, you will need to confirm that you are actually registered and therefore eligible to vote. You will also need to find out your polling division and location of your polling station. Remember, you can only vote in the polling station that is designated for you. You can do this in 3 ways: by checking the printout of the voters list at your constituency office or post office, visiting the Electoral Office of Jamaica's website at www.ecj.com.jm, or by calling the EOJ toll-free at 1-888-991-VOTE. That's 1-888-991-8683. After confirming your registration, it's time to get ready to vote. Have your voter identification card at hand. You will need it on Election Day. If you have not yet collected it, please do so at your constituency office.
So it's election day. You know exactly where to cast your vote and you have your voter's identification card with you. Go to your designated polling station and join the line like I have done and wait until it's your turn at the voting booth.
It is often said that the early bird catches the most worms, but sometimes being not so early works in your favor. Most Jamaicans vote during the first 2 hours of polling and the last hour before the polls close, resulting in long lines. So if you want to avoid the wait, it's a good idea to vote during the off-peak hours between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m.
So now it's your turn to cast your vote. Wait for the presiding officer to acknowledge you.
Next person, please. Good day, sir.
Good day.
May I please have your name and your voter's ID?
Adrian Atkins.
Thank you very much.
Forgot to bring your voter's ID card? You will still be allowed to vote once your name can be found on the voters list and your identity can be confirmed. However, the process to confirm you is quite lengthy, so to avoid delays, remember to bring your card on election day. Once your identity has been confirmed and your name has been found on the list, the presiding officer will then examine your fingers and hands for any traces of electoral ink using the integrity lamp. If your polling station is using EVBIS, that is the Electronic Voter Identification and Ballot Issuing System, you will be asked to place a specific finger on a fingerprint scanner. This scanner uses your fingerprint to confirm your identity.
May I check your fingerprints, please?
Once your identity has been verified, you'll be issued a ballot. Listen carefully to the instructions given because if you don't record your vote correctly, it may not be counted.
Mr. Atkinson, you are eligible to vote.
Thank you.
This is your ballot paper with the names of two candidates, Matthew Marks and Luke Johns. Please go behind the voting booth and place your X beside the symbol for the candidate of your choice using the pencil provided. I am folding your ballot paper twice. Please return it to me folded in the same manner to protect the secrecy of your vote.
Once you have been issued your ballot, it's time to vote. Go behind the voting booth and using the pencil provided, clearly mark an X in the space beside the symbol of the candidate of your choice. Refold the ballot twice as instructed by the presiding officer, leaving the flap out to protect the secrecy of your vote. Do not show your vote to anyone. Otherwise, your ballot will be declared spoiled and you will have to vote again.
Thank you, Mr. Atkinson. Check, serial number return. Mr. Atkinson, please dip your right index finger in the ink. This way.
Be sure to watch while your unopened ballot is placed in the ballot box.
Once you have witnessed your ballot being placed into the ballot box, the voting process is complete. You should now leave the polling station in a peaceful manner.
Next person, please.
Congratulations, you've just voted. But here are a few more things to keep in mind on election day.
You can only vote if your name is on the voters list. If you make a mistake, you may request another ballot from the presiding officer. Your original ballot will be spoiled and you will be issued a new one. The use of cellular telephones or image capturing devices is strictly prohibited inside the polling stations. You may not remove ballot papers from the polling station. Your ballot is secret. It should not be shown to anyone. For further information on the voting process, visit the ECJ's website at www.ecj.com.jm or call toll-free at 1-888-991-VOTE. That's 1-888-991-8683.
Your vote is your voice. Make it count.
Now that you know the correct voting procedure, get the COVID-19 voting tips next.
We are having a general election during a pandemic. While you exercise your franchise, we want to ensure that you remain safe. You may do so by following the agreed COVID-19 protocols for the general elections. Election Day workers, you will all undergo COVID-19 screening on September 2. For you, the voting public, on September 3, wear your mask to the polling station. Your hands will be sanitized and your temperature checked before you are able to start the voting process. As you cast your vote, your finger will be re-sanitized before you dip it in an alcohol-based ink. And to ensure your continued safety, polling stations will be regularly sanitized throughout the day. As you vote for your political representative, be smart, be responsible. Wear your mask, practice social distancing, use alcohol-based hand sanitizer, and be sure to return to your homes immediately after casting your vote. We're in this together. Let's play our part to make Jamaica COVID-19 free.
COVID-19 cases on the island continue to rise, with several communities in Kingston and St. Andrew as well as St. Thomas recording cases which are yet to be linked to a source. With this worrying development, we iterate our call for you to practice the known COVID-19 control measures.
We cannot always return to lockdowns. We cannot always return to shutting down the country. We have to learn to live with COVID. And the way to live with COVID is for every single Jamaican to responsibly, faithfully, and consistently follow the infection prevention and control measures. And we know what these are. If you're going out in public, wear your mask. If you have to take public transportation, wear your mask. If you are ill with flu-like symptoms, respiratory challenges, if you're coughing, sneezing, stay at home. Reach out to the health services. If you are in a gathering of no more than 20, that should be, then ensure that you maintain social distance. If you're attending an event, the organizers of the event, they have a duty to ensure that chairs and tables are physically distant, to ensure that people are not in close quarters. If you touch unknown surfaces, but even if you don't, wash your hands regularly, sanitize your hands if you can't wash them immediately. These measures work, and I can only encourage our Jamaican citizens to follow them faithfully and consistently.
And that's how we close out Jamaica Magazine, but only for today. We return tomorrow with information you can use to improve your lives. Stay with us online. There's our website, our YouTube channel, our pages on all the major social media platforms, and our mobile app that's smartphone compatible. On behalf of the entire team here at the GIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson, encouraging you to take your health seriously. Practice the necessary COVID-19 protocols and tell your yard as much as possible.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.